25 to 9, you're on ABC Alice Springs. Now, later on this year, in fact in August, you will have the choice of electing your mayor for the Alice Springs Town Council. Yes, I think it's the last Saturday in August will be local government elections. So, up until now, you, the public, have had the chance to vote for your mayor, say in the BRC or in the Alice Springs Town Council, or if you're in Palmerston or Katherine or Darwin. And just remember, the last mayoral election here got down to 2 votes after recounts and, of course, an appeal to NT-CAT. But there is currently a discussion paper doing the rounds on how the principal member or the mayor is to be chosen. Now, the discussion paper is on the amendments to the Local Government Act. Now, it's suggested moving away from direct election to giving councillors the vote for their mayor or council president, remembering many councils in the territory do this already. Now, it's a model used in Victoria, New South Wales, but in Queensland and Tasmania, mayors are voted in by the public. WA and South Australia use mixed models depending on the region and community. Now, we spoke to Mayor Matt Patterson here in Alice last week about his thoughts, but this amendment would take away the right of a council to have a popular election for a mayor. Is that a diminution? Is that a reduction in democracy?
Yeah, I think so. I think you want to vote for your leader. We'll wait and see where it lands. I don't think that they'll make that change, to be quite fair. But we'll wait and see. And council, we haven't had this discussion as council, so I just want to be quite clear. These are my opinions in regards to changing the mayor. I don't think the punters will wear it, and I don't think that they'll be real happy about it.
So it is a discussion paper which has been put out to councils, I think to CEOs, a number of other issues, conditional rating as well. So what does the Minister for Local Government think? Steve Edgington, good morning to you.
Good morning, Brash, and good morning to all the listeners in Central Australia and the Barclay.
Steve Edgington, of course, you were voted, I think, as a popular vote for you to become Mayor of the BRC. What do you make of the discussion about maybe the need to unify it and make it a decision and a vote by councillors elected? What do you make of that particular discussion?
Yeah, well, that's why we've put the discussion paper out. Obviously, we're canvassing views on a whole range of issues around the Local Government Act, code of conduct, changes to councils, elected members. But the reality is that some of these discussions have been going on for years, so what we are seeking is feedback from councils. Legant have got a copy of the discussion paper as well. So as it stands at the moment, councils can make decisions prior to the election whether they have their principal member elected or whether they appoint that person at the first meeting after the election. And one of the things in the discussion paper, Brash, is that currently the legislation requires that if they do appoint the principal member at that first meeting, they actually have to do it at the first meeting. So one of the parts of the discussion paper is that should that be extended to maybe the fourth meeting, or give some time for the council to settle, time for the councillors to get to know each other a bit better before they actually appoint a principal member. So there's a range of discussion in that particular point about the principal member.
I've got to say though, that reading the discussion paper, the tone of it suggests that the department is of a mind that they prefer to have a unified system whereby councillors are the ones who actually nominate or vote for the principal member. That they seem to see the popular vote of the mayor as second to maybe the council doing the nomination. I mean, is that you were elected popularly? Do you support the continuation of a popular vote for mayors?
Well, I think these are discussions for the council, and yes, I was appointed in August 2017 as the mayor of the Barclay Regional Council, but that was based on a decision by the prior council that made a decision that all of their mayors would be elected by the community during an election. So
do you support that as a way of picking the mayor? Is that your choice?
Well, I don't have a particular choice at the moment. I think there's real options, and I think different communities have different views on it, because at the moment, as you identified, there's roughly about 7 councils that have decided that their principal elected member will be elected by the community. But there's 11 regional and shire councils in the Northern Territory that have decided that they appoint their principal member at the first meeting of their council. So what we have is a whole mixed bag of views right around the Northern Territory, and really the purpose of the discussion paper is to get some feedback. There's no set response in this particular discussion paper. We've made no decisions. As the Minister, I've certainly made no decisions on what the best way forward is at this point.
I'm just saying that the tone, though, is, and this is part of the discussion paper, says the proposal to require all councils to appoint their principal member would align the NT with most other jurisdictions. So the tone seems to be to align us. What do you think would be the advantage of, say, if we made it all councils were, and all mayors or principals were actually elected by their council, by the members of the council? Do you think that would be, what's the advantages of that?
Well, I think there's a few advantages, and firstly, what it would do is bring consistency, but it would also bring consistency around three levels of government, Brash. We don't elect the Prime Minister, we don't elect the Chief Minister of the Northern Territory, but here in the Northern Territory, across local government, but what we have seen is changes in different states so that the elected member is actually appointed by the incoming council.
Can I just make a point though? We know that either Peter Dutton or Anthony Albanese will be the Prime Minister because we know they're the leader of their parties. We have no idea who might become the mayor if they're just a bunch of councillors. And surely it might actually see more of an impact of of party politics in councils if we allowed it to go in that direction.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt some advantages and disadvantages. One of the things that we have seen, since coming into government, but I've seen this over a number of years, is that what we do need to do is look at this in the context of how do we fix other parts of the Act as well, particularly around code of conduct. Now, what I've seen is different complaints over the years in regard to the principal member. If the council appoints their principal member during a council meeting, it gives them the flexibility also to determine should that person be changed. So that's one of the different aspects of having the principal member elected by the actual council members. So it gives them the flexibility of who do they want as the person chairing their meetings, being the spokesperson for council and working with them. So should things not turn out, yes, we do need to do a little bit of work around the code of conduct. What we'd want to ensure is that all of these issues with some of the councils, and I must say the majority of councils are working very well, but we do need to look at the Act in the whole of context, particularly around prevention, early intervention, working with councillors to ensure they get proper training, development, and making sure that the chairs of these meetings have the training and development they need as well.
Do you think there is also, and this is maybe conspiratorial, I said this to Convat Scalis the other day, the fact that when you have a popularly elected mayor, they come with a mandate. They have a popular mandate from the people, which they can say, and when they're having a blue with the NTG, they can say, I'm the mayor of this town. I was elected by a majority of this town. That's not there if you have just some person who's been elected by 7 and 8 or 9 people. It sort of becomes they have less of a mandate, maybe even less power or less popular perception of power to go head to head with the NTG.
These are the very issues, Brash, that we want that feedback, and I hear exactly what you're saying around, yes, the popularly elected mayor, I'm the spokesperson for the town, the people have elected me. There's a whole range of advantages and disadvantages. But as I said, it's a discussion paper. There's 7 councils that have an elected principal member, and there's 11 regional and shire councils at the moment that have made that decision to elect their member at the first meeting. And what we want to do is get feedback. Should that be extended out from not doing that at the first meeting, perhaps around about the 4th meeting, so that there can be some work done and some team building amongst the councillors before that decision.
Do you reckon we'll just leave it as it is in the long term? Do you reckon at the end, after all this discussion, it may just stay as it is?
That could be one of the outcomes, Brash. It's certainly what we've seen with the legislation so far is that in many cases it's worked as is. There has been some cases where councils have become dissatisfied with their elected mayor and want to take action to ensure that there's better operating in that council. So there's some flexibility either way, and there's certainly some advantages and disadvantages, and that's the feedback we'd really like to hear from all the councils.
Just some quick fire questions. I know you've got to get away. We had one listener earlier on asking about the charitable status of, say, Aboriginal organisations who don't pay rates. Is that going to be looked at? Is that going to be revisited? Because there are some very large organisations who, I understand, through charitable status don't pay rates. Is that being revisited?
It is. That's one of the the particular issues around rating at the moment is that there is provision for exemptions. When I say provision, the particular body being having that charitable status needs to apply for an exemption around rating. We're looking at that overall to see and seek feedback about that as well, because there's been some discussion. There's been some cases through the Civil and Appeals Tribunal around should some of the larger housing providers be paying rates in regard to their houses, given that they should be, given the fact that they have charitable status.
So that's been examined.
All of that's being looked at the moment.
And I suppose with all these changes in the offing for the Local Government Act, what does this mean for the promise and your promise, certainly in the Barkly, to deliver local community councils again? How do these changes progress that?
Yeah, so the current changes in Parliament at the moment, and it's just been through the scrutiny committee, Brash, and it will be coming up in the Parliament in May, is the proposed changes around prospective councils. In amongst that is also the elections around casual vacancies, and I can recall some discussion in Alice Springs about that. Publishing requirements for local government notices, but what we're doing in May is there's some changes to prospective councils, which gives the minister the power to issue orders around transitional orders in regard to those councils. So that legislation is going through in May. But when it comes to the Barkly, what I've always said is that we're certainly, the feedback that I've had is that people in communities feel disempowered. There's communities out there that want to run their own community, be empowered and deliver services at the local level.
So when will we see this? Sorry, Steve. When will we see these models? Yeah.
The consultations will be beginning very shortly. In fact, I'll be attending the Legant meeting this week and we'll be outlining our policy position around that. So what I've always said, though, Brash, is that we won't be forcing change on any community. What we'd want to do is work with communities, and those that feel and want and believe that change will better their community, we'll work with them to ensure that that pathway is followed.
I had so many other questions, Steve, but time is against us. I know you've got better things to do than talk to me. We'll speak soon and look forward to talking to you again after that Legant meeting about more of the model, which will be a pathway towards those community councils. Thanks, Brash, and good morning to all the listeners. That's Steve Edgington, Local Government Minister.